Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joshua Carmona with ScoreInc.com and ScoreCEO. And welcome once again to our Jumpstart Your Webinar Business series, where we're going to be talking about ScoreCEO and everything related to your business and how you can integrate the two over time to supercharge your business. Today, this is part 5 of our series of webinars dealing with ScoreCEO and how to set different things and new features up. And we're going to be discussing how to integrate with QuickBooks with ScoreCEO. And we'll also be covering how to master email templates and letter templates as well, so you can create templates, edit templates, and understand what template groups are. So before we get too deep in the weeds, let's go ahead and present our presenter today for QuickBooks integration, and that's this is. Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Okay, good. So we have Kate with us today. Jasmine is monitoring the chat, so she's with us, but verbally she's not. So if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and place your questions into the chat, and she can start recording those questions as you go along, and we'll have question and answer sessions that will attend to a group of questions rather than just stopping for every question asked. But today, Kate, you've got a difficult one here: how to integrate a credit repair CRM with QuickBooks through Zapier. Do you have any idea how to do that?
A couple different ways, actually. Some easier than others, but Score is actually already integrated with Zapier, so the basic things can already be handled right in Zapier, which is awesome. But then there are some other extra cool things that we can do by getting creative through Zapier as well.
Awesome. So there's a few housekeeping things that we need to discuss. You've got to have, when integrating with other software, the same way we integrate with Dropbox eSign and Authorize.net, you need to have a ScoreCEO portal. Right? You need to have a Zapier account with an API key, right? Because in order for us to connect to your Zapier account and use your Zapier account to create Zaps, in order for you to be able to do that, you need to have an account with Zapier. And they'll provide you with an API key. That API key is placed into ScoreCEO, and we're able to then ensure that ScoreCEO is connected to Zapier. When we create a connection, and we can create unlimited connections in Zapier, because Zapier connects to well over 4,000 different types of software out there. It's a middleware company. So it sits between ScoreCEO and another software you're integrating with. In this case, it's QuickBooks, right? So those middleware or connections are defined, and those defined connections are called Zaps. And you can create unlimited Zaps. You can create, and today we'll probably be creating one, or Kate will probably be creating a few Zaps, and one of them will probably be one that matches data from maybe a spreadsheet, or from ScoreCEO, or from an interim spreadsheet to Zapier. And she'll go over what the specifics are about that. But we can use it to go ahead and send information over to, let's say, a landing page builder that can go ahead and generate a form that can build out a beautiful landing page that connects to ScoreCEO, like ConvertKit or something like that. And we'll go over that in other webinars as well, but this is one of those types of integrations. Before Kate gets started, let me show you where you configure that, right? Once you have your Zapier account inside the configuration bubble, where the company portal profile is. Okay, we want to look at towards the bottom. You'll see that right below Facebook, Twitter, and HelloSign, you'll see Zapier integration. And that long secret key, in this case, belongs to Brian Blackmore's Zapier account, which he's integrating right now with ScoreCEO. Okay, so this is where you would set that up in ScoreCEO so that you can create unlimited zaps from that point on. It's set it and forget it after that. In the interim, I'll leave you right now with Kate. If you're ready to share your screen, Kate, I'll gladly hand it over to you.
All righty. Share.
I'll stop sharing here.
All right.
There you go.
Let me know when you guys see me okay?
Yes, Kate.
Wonderful. All right. So, if you're not familiar with Zapier already, Zapier is an amazing integration software, like Josh was saying. It connects you to thousands and thousands of things. From we use it for different reasons. It could be we attach it to our Facebook lead center to help capture leads that we get through our Facebook ads. I connect everything through Excel. Excel, it'll map everything out for you, and it's wonderful. So you can really, if it exists in the internet world, there's a good chance that it's on Zapier, which is really awesome. So whenever you're setting up a Zap, you can just go over here and create a Zap. And it's going to ask you, I never use the betas that thing up there because I go old school. So it's first going to ask you what your trigger is. So I'm going to click there, and I'll just go up here and type ScoreCEO, which makes this so much easier. So now that I have ScoreCEO in there, it's going to give me a list of events that Score will use as a trigger to start this Zap or to start this event. So for this one, we are going to look at when a consumer invoice is added, obviously, and continue. And this will walk you through. Now, the first time you do this, it's going to have you log in and connect your account and everything. I already have it connected. And then it's going to do a test. And these tests are very important because these are live events that have actually happened, and it'll pull in an actual client that created an invoice, or they have an invoice on, so you can use that data to make sure it works throughout every step of your Zap. So we're going to go ahead and do the test, and it's just going to look for, oh, come on, I just did this earlier, and there was one in there. I had this working, and then I closed it so I could start over and show you guys how to do it. I've obviously got invoices created here. Yeah, if I need to, I'll create a new one. Delete. Actually, that might be the one that I was doing. Sorry. Technology, right? I don't know what. There we go. See, I knew there was a consumer invoice. Oh, this is just doing a test invoice. Let me try this one more time because I want to make sure that I don't know. Like, I literally did this 30 minutes ago in preparation to make sure this would all work, and it brought an invoice in just fine. Zap is kind of finicky sometimes, but it's still awesome. Goodness gracious. All right, well, let's just go create an invoice real quick.
Remember, everyone, that Kate's business is in pay per delete, so her events bill based on deleted or repaired events or accounts.
Goodness. We're gonna do one more thing here. Why does that always happen? You can do everything possible to prepare, and then when it's time to happen, it's going to mess up.
Murphy was here. Murphy's Law.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Well, it's good that in a way, it's good that happens to you in a presentation. So if it happens to somebody on this call, they'll see that it's normal for glitches to show up.
But I don't want that to make it seem like this is not a good app, because because Zap actually is pretty amazing usually. And so, but like everything, it's going to mess up at some point. Continue. I don't even know what to do now.
Are you logged in, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mine are a little bit more intense down here that I use, that I'll be happy to jump in and show, because that does a lot of cool stuff too. But I don't even know what to do if it's not going to pull it in. I guess I'll do it off of a test one. You're going to know how to start a Zap really well, because you've seen me do that about 6 times now. Wonder if we did added a lead. So this is another good thing that you can do whenever a lead or whenever a consumer is added. You can have it automatically add it to QuickBooks. What I do, the way I have it set up, is since that consultation invoice is the first thing that really happens with our consumers, I don't have it create a consumer in QuickBooks until we have an invoice created. And so what I'm trying to show you here is that whenever an invoice is created, the first step is actually going to be to search for that customer in QuickBooks. And then if we can't do it, what on earth? Zap, you're killing me here. Test successful. Well, we're going to go on with just I think it'll give me like test information, which sucks. We'll do it again in a little bit and see if I can get actual data out of it. So here's what it would normally do. It would show an invoice that was actually created, and this is all of the information that Score will give you for it. So once we pretend that's a brand new real customer, we're going to hit continue, and now it's asking what we're going to do. So I'm going to connect it with QuickBooks Online. And first, I am going to find a customer. Continue. Already connected my QuickBooks. So this first, it's saying, what are you going to search? And by default, it says the display name. And then the search value. This is where it kind of gets confusing, but this is where it's bringing in all of the information from Score. So if you get several different steps, each step becomes a set of data that you can use. That's confusing. I'll explain that more later. So now it's asking, the search field that I'm searching is QuickBooks. And then it's going to, and then I tell it what field is that first name. So what should it use to search for that display name? There's no full name, so we'll do Matt space Henry. All right, just like our variables are used. Should this be considered a success when nothing is found? No. And then create QuickBooks Online customer if it doesn't already exist. Yes, that's what I was saying earlier. So whenever my consultation invoices are created, it's first going to go look and see if it has a customer there already. And if it doesn't, then it's going to create that customer in QuickBooks for me. So I don't have to do that, and I don't have to set that up as a separate Zap. It can all be in one. So now we're going to create it in QuickBooks. So full name is first name space last name, which I'm going to leave the display name the same. Kind of fill in the blanks. Go in here and add email. Oh, doesn't look like we have phone. All right, so we'll skip over that. Put address, I didn't see that in there. And then if there's any notes, so you don't have to use just your fields that came in from Score. If you want to add something like
imported
with
like
Score, yeah, whatever you want, you can type that in there, and you can mix the variables for first name. You know, you get the idea. You can do whatever you want. One thing I do want to point out is the ID that it's using in here. Don't use that. That is kind of an arbitrary ID that is associated with Zap only. So that ID does not match the ID of the client that came in. So don't use the ID in here at all. Zap uses it, but we don't need to. So we can fill in any other information we have there, payment method, whatever. I have specific customer types for in Score only, so every single one of them has that. And then continue. So now it's going to, so I'm going to test this step, and it's first going to go look and see if I have that Matt Henry in there, and I don't. So then it's going to tell me that it created that online. So let me get logged back in to QuickBooks. All right, a customer is sent to QuickBooks Online. So let's go look for Matt Henry. And it's Henry. And there he is. And there's the note, Zap with Score for Matt, first name, last name, and click edit. Created all of that. There's his email, and then there's my note, and there's where I chose that I wanted to score. So it did everything there correctly. Now, the next step, so I'm going to hit add step, still using QuickBooks. Now we are going to create an invoice. All right, so this first customer, this is where I said it can kind of get confusing because now we've got multiple steps, right? So we have the Score step where it brought in that information, and now we have the QuickBooks step. So now I have a second set of data of variables that I can choose from coming from that QuickBooks one. So when I go here and say what customer, this is just a big giant list of all the customers. So you're not going to use that. You're going to go over to custom, and then here's your steps. So there's the information that came straight out of Score. There's the information that came from QuickBooks. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use this ID. So that way it knows exactly what customer I'm using straight out of QuickBooks. And then here's the information that's going to fill out on the invoice. So now we've got things like the amount due, paid amount, I'll just leave blank, from date to date. I don't think that actually, the from and to date, I don't know that that fills in on ours, but I use the due date. So I guess that's what I need to use. And you can also type in here just to search it and make it easier if you have a lot of stuff. So there's the due date, invoice number, and then here's your line items. I don't know about how you guys use your QuickBooks. We do not, we don't itemize our things in QuickBooks. You could, I don't think you could do that through this way. There are other ways that we could do that in here to do the individual line items. So I just go in here. Everything for us is let's see, for this one, it's going to be services. So this is where you're going to have to know your QuickBooks well. Make sure that you're putting things in with the correct, there we go, services. And then I don't need a description. The rate you can leave alone. It's just the amount is where we're going to put the amount due. No tax. This class, I don't know if you guys use classes or not. We use classes on an invoice level, but not on an individual line item. So don't get yourself messed up if you use those. You don't want to use that. Down here, if you use classes, it'll let you choose the class right here. Department, I don't really use any of that stuff. So I'm just that's all I need to enter. So I'm going to hit continue. It's kind of giving me an overview. I'm going to test the step. All right, it was done. So let's go back here. I'm going to refresh. And there's the invoice already created. That easy, right? Although it wasn't very easy to begin with, but normally that is exactly how easy it goes. Do we have any questions or anything on this thus far? I guess I'm going to hit publish to make sure that it goes live. And as soon as that's done, then every single invoice created will automatically be added that exact same way.
Great information there. Jasmine, do we have any questions?
No, not as of now.
So I've got some questions. So the first thing that you're doing right now is basically addressing ScoreCEO, and you're creating the triggered event, which is when an invoice or consumer invoice is created in ScoreCEO in this Zap, right?
Yes.
The second step is to basically connect to QuickBooks and find the customer that is going to be referenced on this add consumer invoice. So when ScoreCEO adds a new consumer invoice, it's going to look for that customer and find them. If it finds them, it'll basically match that, it'll select that customer. But if it doesn't, it'll go ahead and create the customer in QuickBooks. Is that correct?
Correct.
Then on step 3, QuickBooks is going to create an invoice for that customer, which is coming over with that information online on the triggered event.
Yes.
That's awesome. And now you have QuickBooks synchronized with ScoreCEO in terms of the invoices. But you could do this theoretically with the payments as well, right?
The payments has to be done a little bit more creatively because we don't have currently a Zap trigger for when payments are made. But let's just go back into this one and we can look at all of the trigger events that we can take advantage of here. So if an affiliate, consumer, or lead is added, or then if an affiliate, consumer, or lead is updated, and then when the lead status is updated. So I don't really use any of the rest of those, but it was interesting. I did set up each one of these originally just to kind of play with them. And the action it did was it just put all of that information into a spreadsheet for me. So I kind of just had a screenshot of everything that was happening on each tab of my spreadsheet. But you can be creative and use these in all sorts of different ways. But those are the different triggers that we have. And I believe we're probably looking into adding, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're probably adding more triggers in the future.
We are going to add more invoice related triggers that are more specific. For example, with the types of invoices, right? In ScoreCEO, we have different types of invoices. So we want to be able to segment like a consultation invoice from a service invoice or from a general invoice, right? And those in the future will be more robust. They'll give you more granularity as to what to import and how to import it and when. Same thing with the payments.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know why it's not pulling an invoice in, but normally I've never had any problems in the past with it. So
yeah. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and let me take control back, unless you've got something else to show, Kate, the team.
Not unless we go dive into detail about all the super fun stuff that I've been able to do in there, but we can do that at the end if we have time, if you want.
You're talking about Zapier specifically?
Yeah.
All right.
If
I have some more time left over, after discussing the next two types of templates, we'll go ahead and come back and give you that time so you can show any cool stuff you may have for Zapier as well.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So let me get you back. Can you guys see my screen? Not yet.
I'm sharing mine right now, so now we can see it.
Okay, so let's talk about templates now. And creating templates in ScoreCEO. What types of templates do we have? We have dispute letter templates, email templates, text and canned note templates. Okay, we're not going to be covering text and canned note templates on this webinar, but we are going to be discussing dispute and email letter templates, which can cause some confusion, especially in the email templates when selecting the template category, but we'll go over that. And I'll give an example of creating a dispute letter template and how to insert variables as well. So let's go over to the dispute letter templates. Let me bring up a portal. If we go to ScoreCEO and we go to the template area here on the lower left-hand menu, we click on templates and you'll see that you can create email, letter, text, and canned notes. We won't be going over text like I mentioned earlier. Text and canned notes, we'll cover that in a separate webinar. And the reason being is that I'd like to go over both of these within a campaign structure. And we're making a few changes to canned notes, where we're making canned notes available outside of the campaign structure and available from the new insert the notes screen. So that will take a few weeks to complete. Once that's done, then I can go ahead and go into a more elaborate version of how to include canned notes both in templates, which is available today, and how to access it from the leads and consumer page or the workflow steps or the note steps, the note step from within any customer. And same thing goes for text. We still have not come to an agreement with TextBetter. We are going to have a secondary provider, and it looks like it's going to be Cinch, not Twilio. And once we've completed that custom integration, we'll be deploying this to any customer that needs it. But the integration and the functionality is already built in. Let's start with letter templates, right? Let's create a letter template. In the template, when we select on letters, you can see all the default templates that come in your portal with ScoreCEO. You can edit these templates. You can create your own new templates. You can do whatever you want. I get this question asked on the sales support, or from my sales team members, or anybody just manning the chat for sales questions. And it's, do we support Metro 2 type reporting? Before anybody knew how to pronounce Metro 2 type reporting, we were supporting Metro 2 type disputes along with technical factual disputes. You see, at Score, when we provide dispute processing service for our customers, we provide services. Those services are provided via a technical factual dispute method. That means that we don't say things like, it doesn't belong to me, it's paid as agreed, it's not mine, or it's in duplicate. Specifically because we don't know if that's absolutely true. And even if the customer assumes or testifies that it is, we don't want to put the CRO at risk that the customer fraudulently misled them. So we assume that is never true. So how do we dispute? Well, when we dispute a line item, we dispute it based on any of a total, depending on the credit report master. We would talk about maybe up to 33 different items or fields on a particular account that could be wrong or need validation or verification. So we basically group a letter and we use dispute reasons for that, right? And our dispute reasons are fundamentally a non-assertive statement followed by one or more pieces or fields of this account type, followed by an absolute resolution statement. And that's called technical factual disputing. If you look at and this is not about templates, but this is really just if you have this curiosity, this is a Metro 2 type dispute letter format. What it's doing, it's basically, there's two ways that CROs go about that. They actually dispute one item at a time, or they group similar types of items, either by creditor or all the items, and they include the creditor name, the account number, and a dispute reason, which they're hard coding. Well, we have these dispute reasons. You can build them in ScoreCEO. When we do our disputes, we change these, and it's all on a monthly basis, and it's always going to address different items on the account, and it's asking the customer to validate. So we've been doing this since 2011, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, ScoreCEO not only supports Metro 2 type, it was created based on technical factual disputes, and quite frankly, Metro 2 type reporting, along with any other type of strategy, what it does is inspire more frequency in disputes, which that inspires more results. There's only a few things that really give you more results, not what you say, is how often you say it to the CROs or the creditors themselves or the regulatory agencies. And when you say these things to them, you don't want to assert that anything is true or not, because it might not be. And this way you're not compromised. For example, the word appears. That is not a word that says it doesn't belong to this balance is incorrect. It says there appears to be an inconsistency. This is something that you're saying, hey, I think there's an error. With what? With the balance, the payment history reported for this account. So those two fields have issues. And then it's saying the resolution statement is validate the reported balance and payment history. And this is the absolute resolution. I request the accurate balance and the payments to be reflected on my credit report. Sometimes we may add to that. And if you can't do that, delete this from my report. Okay. Now, this is all fair and it's all legal. But when you combine this type of disputing on the reason for dispute with a Metro 2 type format, you get maximum results, because you may have more than one letter going out on one round just for the credit reporting agencies, which adds frequency, which is a factor on improving the customer's credit over time. It's the more you dispute, the better the results get over time. right? If you do it factually, right? You'll never repeat a different reason why you're disputing. The next month, you might dispute the credit, high credit, and maybe the comments of late or the late payments, or actually, let's say with the credit, or maybe high credit and the status of the account. Okay, you can choose as many different account types as you want, because that's what the law says. The law says that the report has to be verifiable and correct. That's all that's required. It doesn't say that the balance has to match the amount. It's of $505. It says the balance has to match and has to be correct, and the consumer determines that. So it could be that the consumer doesn't understand what is being reported to him through a credit report, because they might have inconsistent account numbers. They might have inconsistent balance and payments across the 3 credit reporting agencies, and that can cause a doubt in the consumer's logic on understanding which one is it. Is it $505 or is it $320? And I'm making up numbers, right? But the reality is that if it's different from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, has different balances or payment histories reported, which one is correct? Well, that's why the law says it has to be 100% verifiable and 100% correct. And that's the parameter. Okay, anything else is just fill, ladies and gentlemen, or interpretation. So let's say we want to go ahead and have not only factual, technical dispute reasons in ScoreCEO, which you do on a monthly basis. Let's say you want to add this round 1 template to ScoreCEO. Let's go ahead and just copy this template. And let's create a new letter template. And we'll talk about the different fields. Let's start with round. The template type is set to letter by default. The round, you can either select all rounds. That means that this template will show up for any first round and any other round as well, or you can choose selective. And now you can say, okay, only show me this template when it's a CRA dispute, or if it's a direct to creditor dispute, show me when it's a creditor dispute, or if it's a regulatory dispute, that means it's going to go to the CFPB, the Attorney General, Ombudsman, something like that, and you have templates around that, then you can choose regulatory. If you wanted the same template to appear for both creditor and CRA disputes, you can go ahead and do that as well. In this case, we're just going to choose CRA disputes. You can also selectively choose the rounds. You can say this round 1 letter should only appear in round 1 and in round 6, let's say, because maybe I want to restart the cycle 6 months in because I only have 6 rounds of this type of dispute and you want to restart it. Maybe that's your strategy. I don't know. Okay, but let's say we're going to just do round 1. Then you have your formatting, right? Or your content, right? This is where you're going to actually copy and paste the template letter. You know, you want to go ahead and clean it up, right? But then you have all these variables in here that may or may not be. These are variables I got from ChatGPT when I asked it to insert variables, but obviously it doesn't include our variable formats. So what I'd like to do is I'll just leave those references there, and I'll start going to variables and inserting the customer's name, right? That when it says your name, it means the customer's name or consumer's name. So let's go for consumer first name, full name, or last name. Let me go with full name. On the next field, let me hit OK. On the next field, let's get rid of your name. We have the address field, right? So let's insert the address now for the consumer.
Hey, Josh, by the way, you can go tell ChatGPT what your variables are, and then going forward, all of your templates will have your actual variables in there. It's very handy.
Okay. That's a great suggestion, and I agree with that. So now let me get the address out of the way. Let me see if I have anything for city, state, and zip. Consumer state, zip, And so consumer, state, city, state, and zip. So we have state, zip code, and am I missing the city? Here we go. Consumer city. Okay. Comma, space, variable, consumer state, space, consumer zip. And okay, so that's gonna, all these variables are gonna self-populate, right? And let's get rid, let's put the date in here as well, but let's just get rid of this. And let's get rid of this. I don't want to have the data, but now let's include the credit bureau information, right? That's a bureau name. So what would that bureau name be? Let's go to variables. And let's look for bureau. And I scrolled too fast. Business bureau name. And hit OK. Then we want bureau address. And hit OK. And then we want to maybe insert the city, state, and zip for the bureau as well. City. State. Comma. State. And now we want the zip code. And the zip. So bureau, city, state. Get rid of that. We have the bureau address, bureau name. And so here are our other variables. And now I can delete these. Okay, and now we just inserted the pre-populated addresses. You can format these if you want, however you want. Just make and give it fonts and stuff. But I suggest you do that after you insert, beautify it after you've made it functional, right? So the subject, right, is this, dear sir or madam, this letter serves, and then there's a bunch of stuff. Then we get information for creditor names and account numbers. And here we can start inserting the variables for this as well. So let's go into account variables. Account name, account number, account status, right? So we've got all of this. So in this case, we're looking for the creditor name. So it would be bureau, collector name, consumer address. Where is the collector, bureau, collector, city, state. Can't for some reason find, am I missing it? Am I going over it here? Jasmine, any help here? Collector name, right, is what goes here?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to collector name and hit OK. And then the account number. Let's give it the account number. And maybe we want to give it the account name as well. Really? There we go. Separated by a space. And then we want to go ahead and possibly give this a dispute reason, right? So instead of adding this reason, we want to go ahead and have it import the reason from within ScoreCEO, the dispute reason that you create in ScoreCEO. So we can call that, or that is here designated as dispute reason. And this will enter the reason for the account name here. Now, if I wanted to do this so that we don't have to create this for every single account and we want to include all accounts, I will need Jasmine's help here. Jasmine, if I wanted to do a recurring a dispute reason, what dispute reason variable will I use here? So that it just cycles through and just whether it's 10 accounts or one account, it just keeps aggregating the accounts that are derogatory on one dispute.
Okay, so look for the one that says accounts.
Are you looking at my screen?
Yes.
There you go. Accounts.
Okay, so you clicked on that one?
Yes.
Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to put your mouse after the word accounts. You see how it's inside of the brackets?
I'm there.
Okay, now you're going to go back to the variables. And then you're going to look for the one that says, let me just pull it up here, account name, and then account number, and then dispute reason. But they all have to be inside of the global one of accounts. So it can do continuous adding on.
So account name, account number.
Yeah, so you put account name, then you put a space, and then account number, and then another space, and then dispute reason.
Got it. So is there a space between accounts and account name?
Is there a space between? Yes.
Okay. And then here, followed by a space and dispute reasons, right? Account and dispute
Correct.
reason. So the dispute reasons would be.
So we had a question that why do some
Right
of the
here.
variables have these brackets, variables, and others have, some have, double, I don't know what those, what that sign is
Yeah, the
called.
squiggly lines.
Yeah, the
Some
squiggly
of
lines and
them.
the other one have the closed brackets.
So the answer is that you can, with those squiggly ones, brackets, you can include brackets inside. You can include other fields in there, and it'll cycle through all of those fields. For example, in this case, and let me just, it's going to go to all accounts, to the accounts fields, and everything referencing the accounts, the account name, the account number, and the dispute reason. If we had 10 accounts that were derogatory and marked a dispute on a CRA dispute, it would not just show one account. It would show all of the accounts for for this, and they would cycle all through here. You'd see creditor name, account number, and reason for dispute, and then another line that says creditor name, account number, and reason for dispute. But the reason for dispute would be for every single other account number. Does that make sense? So that means if you have 10, you should have 10 listings of this.
He said yes. Thank you.
Awesome. And this is a trial and everything. And remember, once you set these, and they work, it's set it and forget it. Okay. And so this is a sample of if I want to include my name and number, I can include that here. I don't think we have a signature variable, but I can definitely brand it to myself or the salesperson, right? Or let's say the dispute processor, right? Or let's say the consumer. In this case, this is going from on behalf of the consumer to the credit reporting agencies. So I would put the consumer's name there again, right? So let me just, whoops. Consumer full name. Get rid of these. Just consumer full name, sincerely, and the consumer's full name. All right, and this is the way we've included variables inside a template letter, and then all of these template letters are going to populate based on these variable connections. Any questions till now on template variables and how to set them up? Jasmine, any other questions?
Yeah.
So let's save this. Oops. Forgot the most important thing. We have to give it a name. So let's call this okay. So we gave it this template. It is a round one dispute using Metro to report template format. And then you decide where you want to use it and what round, and you hit save. And that's it. That's the scope of creating this this template. Any questions till now? Let's go ahead and go to the next slide here, where we're talking about email templates. And let's go over to email templates. And we'll select email and go to create new. On email templates, you have the same types of fields, right? The template type is predetermined as an email. We'll talk about template group in a minute. Your required fields are template name and subject. You should give it a description. I recommend you guys give these a description because you'll create so many of your own templates. They'll kind of start looking all the same. So these descriptions will clear that up for you moving forward. So create a system in place knowing that could be a problem in the future. So let's call this test email or webinar email. Webinar. Description, let's just type test, and the subject, test web email. And now let's go to group. There's a bunch of template groups. Do not use any of these template groups. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me create new again. All right. Do not select anything other than general for now. When we decided to create the template editor, we used to have different types of templates that you can create for different uses of different documents in the system. We are changing that because it requires that you understand what variables are included for what group, and that's too difficult. So we decided to create, or this suggestion was done by Kate, to create one general template group that includes all the most important static fields that we could include. And this is where it would be best for all of you, okay, under the general template group. Let's go ahead and fill out this information again. This way, when you click on your variable, so where is it that we click on variable? See, the editor has changed here, right? So where is it, Kate, that we include variables?
The pencil to the left, right next to the font.
Right there. So it's the first icon right here, right?
Yep.
It says variables if you highlight it. You might think that's an edit button, but it's right there. This is the new email template editor. And template editor, we're slowly deploying this in all the different areas. It's the same editor, just a new version of it. So let's just click on add the pencil, and you'll see that you have a myriad of different variables that you can use inside the general template group. Okay, so let's go ahead and create an email. Let's see if we've got an email here. Let's create a quick email through ChatGPT, let's say.
On those variable templates, guys, the only time you wouldn't want to use the general ones is if you're doing something on a specific action, like on a to-do. The description and things like that are in a specific variable template group. Or for invoicing, we actually just added almost all of the invoicing templates to the general. But when you're going through the general, or all those templates and everything for notes and all of that, if it's based on an issue, then there's a consumer issues template, and that's when you would use those. But I can tell you, I think 99% of the templates I make are with the general now, especially since we've added everything else. So there is a point to those other ones, but you won't use them very often. It's just very specific instances. I love ChatGPT. Has anybody started using ChatGPT recently? Wondering, or does anybody currently use ChatGPT? I know we brought it up in a previous webinar. Oh, nobody. Trying to get used to it. You got to learn how to ask things correctly first.
Yeah, and it looks kind of misleading because I've already been using this with a series of prompts that deal with credit repair and dispute processing. So I've kind of trained this channel for legal email marketing strategies, and that's why it spit out an email marketing template pretty particular to my needs, right? So the subject line is welcome to your company. Welcome to your company. Let's get started. Welcome to your company. Welcome to, for example, credit repair. What is it? This is BK Credit Solutions. We can either write it in there, or we can use it. Welcome. We can either hard code it or put a variable in there. It doesn't matter. But in this case, the subscriber's name would be the lead's name, right? So if I want to look for a subscriber name, right, and I want to hit in here, that would be the consumer name, right? So let's look for consumer name here, consumer first name, to make it 1 second, please.
On the topic of the ChatGPT prompts that Dee just brought up there, start your prompt with telling ChatGPT to ask you questions to better understand your business. Say, I have a business that does this. I need you to help me write marketing emails. Ask me 10 questions to help you better understand what I do. And then it'll ask you things. And you can talk to ChatGPT, act like it's your buddy. Like, that's not what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to do this, or ask me more questions so you can understand what I need better. And that will help get things started. So it will understand, like when writing marketing emails, it'll ask like what type of tone you want to use and things like that. So just have ChatGPT ask you what it needs to make it do what you want it to do, and that'll help. But definitely go to TikTok. TikTok taught me so much, and the videos are very short and quick, so they kind of get to the point. You don't have to sit there through like hour-long teachings of it.
That's great advice, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. But what I did while you were Kate was chatting is, first of all, I included the consumer first name, and all of the information regarding subject was put in here, and I put in the company name in here. So it'll say BK Credit. Welcome to BK Credit. Let's get started, right? That's the subject line item. Then this comes in. It'll automatically populates the consumer's first name, right? Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and the company name will be here as well as your email address, right? We need to add the email address, and we can go here and once again go to variables and add the CRO email address, let's say. Could be the admin email address, right? And then we have best regards, and this should be either the admin if you're a company of one, or could be the salesperson, right? So let's go ahead and type in name, salesperson. Let's try to see if we've got salesperson information there. Let's go ahead and salesperson name, first name. Let's do first name, close, space, last name, close, sales rep, let's hard code that. The company name, well, we used the company name here, right? You can either go ahead and pull it up again or just copy it. All right, and do that. Okay, and when you do copy this, right, be sure that you do Control-C, Control-V, because this is an HTML editor, right? You've seen that sometimes in Gmail, right? So this is HTML, so you have to use Control-C, Control-V in some areas. We can also give it a website URL of the actual website. Some salespeople in some companies have their own landing pages. They might have their own link there, right? So you could use that as well. So in this case, let's just use the CRO web address, if we have that here. Let's see if we've got that here. I guess we don't have it here. The website is here unless I'm jumping over it. Yeah, I think I don't see it here. Let's say, yeah, let's leave it blank for now, or just hard code it in and just leave the company name there. And we've got the company name here as well. So as you can see, ChatGPT gave me a template with variable blanks, right? And I went ahead and replaced my blanks, and once again, I just hit save. Okay. Now, if you go to the bottom of the screen and you want to edit this and test it again before you go on, you can in edit mode, but it'll basically send this test email to the user that's logged in. I'm not that user because I'm using Brian Blackmore's account, so there's no sense in us looking for that email, but it suffices to say that this is how you would create or edit an email template. And you can go ahead and do a lot of fancy things with this, right? Questions till now? So let's go back to that point that Kate was asking. You see, I've got here a bunch of marketing, legal type, email type lookups. But look at what I said at the beginning of the ChatGPT thread. I said, assume you're working for an email blast company to send off one-off email marketing emails to people that have not opted in or given you permission yet to send them emails. What is the best strategy to be able to legally send emails to that type of email list, and give 10 email sending platforms you would recommend? Please write in an emotional tone, poetic writing style, and English language. So the better you define or engineer what this is called a prompt, right? The better you define it, the better your results are going to be. And you can also expand on those results. Like the last thing I asked for on this thread was fundamentally to provide me with, can you provide me with a single opt-in email for a single opt-in email template? And it gave me a single opt-in email template. Okay. And if I want to expand, I can say, can you expand the content to include legal references? And of course, ChatGPT is going to say yes, it will. But then it's up to you to determine whether or not it's right or wrong. Okay, so this is the same email body. Okay, but now it's going to start talking about what, GDPR and Email Can Spam Act, okay, and other things that is necessary for them to single opt in and make their emails better for you, right? Most of these customers are already opted in when they're in Score anyway, because you do that as a lead as they add themselves to ScoreCEO. But this is just an example of how you can expand ChatGPT on giving you more valuable information. You can even say, I want more instructions or better instructions in all of the legal all of the add to your address, your preferences, and need assistance areas. Can you expand to 50 words? And it'll get as close as it can. So you can do a lot of really great things with this. It's important to ensure that you do any content that you produce in ChatGPT, that you run a plagiarism check with a third-party piece of software on your content, because ChatGPT may be referencing off of other content that's being scanned on the web, or already indexed on their NLM system. Does that make sense? Awesome. So if we want to see Metro 2 explained, okay, let's say the original prompts with Metro 2 explained are, what is Metro 2 disputing? Please write in English language. So I didn't have an engineered prompt, so I wanted it to tell me what Metro 2 type reporting is. And off of this, I'll go ahead and engineer my prompt in a better way to be more specific. Okay, so and that's how I continue to drive it down into what I wanted. So ChatGPT is good, but you've got to be really clear on this, right? Like it's telling me now what the base segments are and what they're called for Social Security, for full and legal names, and what their positions are on the data sources that are sharing data, and what their lengths are, that sort of thing. Okay, so I mean, this just goes basically with what you want to do, but it's important to follow Kate's guide here. The better you engineer a prompt, a new prompt or a new chat, the better it is for you. You want to be able to go ahead and tell ChatGPT what the realm of your and scope and the objective and everything that you want from it, with samples and including options to choose from, so that it doesn't go through 100 different options or thousands. It goes through maybe 5 options you wanted to select from to include in your content. That wasn't something we were going to discuss, but I hope you guys got some value out of that. Any questions, Jasmine?
Let me just verify.
Should you
Should
pay
we pay
for 4?
for?
I like 4. Yes, I would. I mean, you don't have to when you get started to just start learning. But one of the things that's good about 4 is that it uses your other conversations and learns from each other. So it's not just chat specific. You can also I'm an Excel guru and I love Excel, but I've been doing some really tough things in there that usually would take me a long time to figure out. And with 4, instead of having to explain what I want it to do, I can straight up upload my spreadsheet straight into ChatGPT and say, in this cell, this is what I'm trying to do. And then it will do it for me. It doesn't enter it into my original, but it basically creates a duplicate version of mine that I uploaded. Kind of like a CSV version. There's no formatting or anything like that, but all of the data is in the exact same space. So then it makes the changes and puts it on another spreadsheet, and then I can download it and I have just a perfect copy of exactly what I'm needing. So that's very helpful. You can also go do things with pictures. You can have it create logos for you, which I played around with that at first and I wasn't super impressed with that at first. But the whole point of ChatGPT is that it's constantly learning every single day from every conversation that it's having. So it's always getting better. And what Josh is showing you right now are all of these kind of integrated chat types that you can do that are more specialized for specific things. They have them for gamers, they have them for coding, they have them for logo creations and all sorts of stuff that you can kind of play around with on there. So I personally, yes, would absolutely upgrade to ChatGPT 4. But while you're learning and stuff like that and just kind of trying to learn basic marketing and emailing, things like that, I wouldn't say that it's a requirement that you need to do. You're welcome.
Yeah, this is a tool that you can use to really get down and dirty, right? If, for example, if I wanted to learn how to, if I wanted to write a human resources letter that really talks about that human resources, let's say job description for a credit repair consultant, I would say something like, if you're looking at is my screen still being shared?
Yes.
Assuming you are a human resources expert with 30 years experience and you recently became a credit repair guru, and you provide me with a outside sales job description for a credit repair sales person, right? So I gave it some context there, right? Sure. And now it's going to spit out a job description, right? Responsibilities, qualifications. Now you should read through this, right? Because you might have to specify some of it, right? To your, whoops. You might want to specify some of it, but let's say I want to go ahead and say, expand this to include manager responsibilities as well, or management responsibilities, right? So it's going to expand on that and go ahead and start to tell me, more different things regarding management responsibilities. Added a whole bunch of management responsibilities as well. So this is not, I'm not going to copy and paste and use this. This is for me, this is a better start than starting out with a blank canvas. As you go on and you start preparing better and better and better and better prompts, and these things here, your chats or your threads here, you save them. I mean, I can see some of these down to 2023. Look, ChatGPT, Zapier integration, credit repair service, job description. For some positions, I was HR expert assistance, email. This is for a client, right? But each one of these is a different thread. You can create them, and you can keep every time. Like if you're talking about dispute reasons, and you want to create dispute reasons for yourself based on a status, payment, a status, high balance, and date of last activity, and you want to create 10 dispute reasons that are factual around that, you can go ahead and create that. But then let's say a month from now, you create a different one with 5 different pieces of account data. You can go ahead and use that same thread because it keeps learning. Every thread learns differently. It's like another person or another expert you're asking information from. So this is really good. This is a really good tool, and the answer is absolutely pay for it. Because when you don't pay for it, when you need it the most, you won't have access to the content because it limits you to a certain amount of information or text or lookups that it under its NLM that it natural language, it's going to go ahead and give you back. So it'll start getting really slow over time, even with the paid version, if you use it enough, right? But I would definitely pay for ChatGPT. It's about $20 a month per user, if I'm not mistaken. It may have changed. I subscribed to this over a year ago. But this is a great way to produce blogs, for example. Obviously, you've got to edit these blogs, and then you've got to go ahead and SEO the blogs, and you've got to match that SEO to your to your marketing keyword marketing strategy, right? And follow that. So there's a lot more than just creating the blog. It's creating the blog and making sure it's correct. That's another thing. ChatGPT, as I said, gets more intelligent. If you don't define these, it could give you bad response after bad response after bad response. And if you don't tell it it's wrong, it's going to continue to produce those bad responses for you. So it's actually going to become, I don't know if that's a word, but it's going to become stupider. It'll probably give you bad information, garbage in, garbage out, right? Any questions around ChatGPT? No, we've touched that topic. Do you want to add something to that, Kate?
Not on ChatGPT, no.
Okay. Do you want to go back to your topic? If we see we've got some people still on the call, do you want to go back to the topic of how you're pimping Zapier with ScoreCEO in other areas?
Yes.
Or do you want to leave that for?
I'm happy to do that if people want to hang out and see. Okay.
How Kate geeks out, basically.
Oh yeah, I sit here and think about this stuff when I can't sleep at night and get excited to set it up the next day. It's really stupid. It goes along with that whole I love Excel thing too. I'm just weird like that. All right, so the way that I showed you guys to set up the Zap for the invoicing is not how I'm doing it, because I have a lot more variables and things that I need to use in our invoicing. We use classes to be able to pay our salespeople commission. We also put what type of invoice it is when we put it in there. So there's a lot more detail that I have to do, or that I kind of need. But that doesn't mean that I can't automate or use Zapier. I just use a different trigger to do so. And what I use, it's actually the email parser from Zapier. So it is still part of Zapier. And what it does is it's simply creating an inbox. So a parser is something that takes data from something to use for something else. So in this case, this is going to be an email parser, and that is the best way that I have found to get data out of Score and into any other application, because we do have all of those variables available to us. So what I did was I went into my email templates, and so I've got Score. Okay, so here's what my template looks like. I did remove all the headers and footers, and I set it up this way. So in QuickBooks, you can't have the same customer in there twice, and we've been adding people to QuickBooks for 12 years now, so we've got some duplication. So the way we enter people into QuickBooks is we put the last four of their social security number after their name. And then I also have their plan, who the salesperson is, and then the invoice number, due date, and invoice total. So this will obviously fill in all of those templates and send, or all those variables, and it sends it to this. So here's one of the, as you can see, there's lots of emails here, and it just gives me all the details. And when you first set this up, it'll have you send an email to this email address. And the way I do this in the campaigns is I have the campaign, whenever an invoice is created, I have it send an email to the CRO admin, which is me. And then I set up a mail rule that says to automatically forward. Let's see if I've got that. Yeah. So we use 365, and I went over here to the settings and to the rules, or my rules. So here's for payments, here's for invoices, and this is, we put every single contract we get signed into a spreadsheet and track it that way. So that goes to a spreadsheet. So these are the different inboxes, and see there's the inbox right there. There's the inbox right there. So I just have it email me, and then it automatically redirects it and deletes it to Zapier, and then deletes it. So, and you can see I'm doing tests and everything. I'm actually just finalizing this because our amazing development team, our developer team, just added more fun stuff for me to be able to make all this stuff work really pretty. So these are actual live invoices that we're getting sent over to us. Now, from there, when you have your mailboxes, you can use this app in Zapier, or from Zapier, if you go create a new Zap, right here, you've got email parser by Zapier. So I'll show you how to get it started, and then I'm going to go show you the one that I've already got. So there you just have, when I get a new email, continue. Oh, really? Why does everything stop working?
Zapier doesn't love you today.
They don't want me to show their stuff off, apparently. We need to have a chat. Well, I'll go show you the one that I'm using. So there are lots of steps in this, as you can see. But here's where I'm receiving that first email. And then actually, I'll do edit so you can see what it's like to actually edit it. So new email from this account. And then it asks what mailbox, since I have several mailbox. And then when it does the test, it looks for the most recent email that's come in. So then we'll continue. Now, the next thing that I have is, it is reformatting some dates. which is another fun thing. So like if I added another step here, there's these formatters. So it will take, phone numbers, and you can format them with the correct, put the one in front, or don't put the one in front, or change the date and time, whatever. So those are very helpful to use. Yes, delete it. So in this one, it's just taking the date from that email, because I use the date the email was received as the invoice date, but that date looks like this. So I reformat it to this. And I don't need to do another test there. And now it's going to go look in my OneDrive and connect to my Excel spreadsheet. So processing my Zap score billing, the worksheet invoices, table invoices, and which looks like this. This is real customer information. Please don't take any of it and get me in trouble. So it will go in and here, let me do. All right. Oh, dang it. Hold on. Unfreeze. Scroll to the top. Then let's freeze the top row. Now let's scroll. Okay. So it puts the data in there for me. And the yellow ones are things that I have to have Excel figure for me. I can't get it out of Score. But these items here are the items that all come from the emails. So those are automatically filled in. The classes, Zapier is kind of weird. Instead of using the name for the class, it makes you use like this arbitrary ID that it has. And since I have no easy way of knowing those, I got those and did a VLOOKUP table for it. If you want to know how to do that, I can help you with that on another time. But I have this happen. I won't go into all this, but this is how it figures out if it's a consultation, if it's for the spouse, if it's a monthly fee or whatnot. It's looking to see if that name has happened anywhere else in this list. And if it hasn't happened, then that's the first time that they've gotten an invoice, which means this is a consultation fee, and so on. So that's how it's figuring out that type. So this information is the extra information that's needed for me to be able to put everything in QuickBooks the way I want it to. So this added row table, it's going to add that first part. Then it automatically, my table does the rest of it. Then the next step, oh, and then over here, by the way, so table, invoice data, and then remember all the steps. So there's the new email, and then that's where I can grab all of the different fields that came from my email parse. And it's kind of weird. There's a lot of extra stuff in here, but you can pretty much figure it out, especially if you're using an example of what you know. Like Lydia Hill is my daughter. She's 11 and apparently has horrible credit because she's in every single software that we have all over the place and needs lots of help. So anytime you see Lydia, that's my test. So you can go in here, and if you know what the variable is that you're looking for, you can also search that, and it makes it easier. But so you just go in here and tell it what variable goes in what spot in your Excel spreadsheet. And then the next, now that I've entered that into the row, now I need it to reference that same row again. So I'm going to find that same row, and it's going to ask, what column are you going to look up? I'm looking up the invoice number because those, we should only have one invoice number or that same number once. So I have it look for that invoice number. So then when it finds that row, now it's going to find a customer in QuickBooks using the display name from my spreadsheet. And if it's not there, go ahead and create a QuickBooks customer. So then from my spreadsheet, I'm going in and filling all that information out. And then I just go on the notes part. I have the salesperson and the plan that they're on, and then the customer type of score. And then once we've found that person, we then go create the invoice. So it's going to look for the ID from that last step. So That's where you go custom, and then you just go to that specific step. So I went to find customer, and then there's that customer's ID. So that's where I plugged in there. Get off of that. It's not, there we go. Okay. So I fill that stuff in, invoice date, due date, invoice number. Then there's the consultation fee, the part that my spreadsheet figures out, the total. That is for individual line item classes. So I go way down here to the bottom, and then there's the actual class, and that's it. So this is actually the real way that I use to put information into QuickBooks. But it's also, you can use this in so many different ways. Like I said, for Excel, I just took all of that data and had it put it in a spreadsheet for me, which you can use in several different ways. You can use it for checks. You can, all sorts of stuff. So the email parser is really helpful.
So that email parser gives you more access to more content that are coming from different areas of the software. Plus, it facilitates your ability to see as each transaction is being executed in ScoreCEO, it starts building that importable file that file that has already imported content into QuickBooks. You don't have to import anything. You're just tracking it on the spreadsheet.
Yep. I mean, it's helpful for me as I'm getting stuff set up because I can go in and make sure everything's being done correctly. But really, I should be able just to shut this and let it go. And if there's ever an error, like if the invoice number is already in QuickBooks, then it will send me an email from Zapier saying that there was an error on this Zap. So that way I don't have to worry about if things get messed up or missing or anything like that. But you can, one thing that we didn't talk about earlier is when we go to look at Zaps, another thing that you can do is not just trigger things out of Score, but you can do things to put like leads and consumers and things into Score. So what do we want to do? I want to add a new lead. So my trigger might be the Facebook lead, the Facebook lead center. And if somebody does XYZ in the Facebook lead center, that will be my trigger. And I have it automatically add the lead into Score. So it's not just for getting information out of it. You can also put information into it using anything, Excel, anything you could possibly imagine. Go through the Zap.
Like I always mention, like landing page builders or custom WordPress pages or things like that. Your website, things of that nature.
Yep. Chat bots. Your OneDrive, it'll sync anything on there. Those are just the main ones that I use. And I don't really use many of them anymore, but yep. We used to use Zoho, so we used it that way too. Do we have any questions on that? I know that's a really high overview of it. It's a lot more difficult to set up, but it's extremely helpful.
If any of you need to set up a call, and Jasmine, this would be a great time to go ahead and post the link to set up a call with me. And if you need Kate on the call to go over any of this as she's applied it to her business, you can put that in the notes section of the invite, of the calendared invite on Teams. And you can go ahead and send that over, and I'll go ahead and attend the call. We've gotten every week. I've been on no less than three calls and as many as 6 calls in a week. So if you guys need my help or to guide you on how to do some of these things, or to just have us just talk shop, and if you want us to do that for you, and we can discuss that option as well. Okay, just reach out to us. By the way, there is this. As all the others, this one will also be distributed by the end of the day tomorrow. But Jasmine will be sending out the recordings to everybody on the call and everybody who missed a call. Is that the process, Jasmine? Jazz?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, do we have any other questions? If not, we can call it a day because I think we've been on a bit more than what we normally been on.
Yes, we don't have any other questions. I put the meeting link in the chat just in case anyone wants to schedule an appointment. It's available for them there.
Thank you. So have a great day, everyone, and thank you for being on this week's call. And next week, what is the topic for next week, Jasmine?
Let me verify. Give me one moment.
Were we gonna go jot form crazy?
It was on the list, but I don't know if you guys want to do job forms. That's up
No,
to you
no,
guys.
So
no, we should do
why
that on a different week.
yeah,
It was
why don't we go?
creating and integrating job forms, which was the
Okay,
next
so
topic.
let's go and do that. I know look at Kate is like, she's go ahead and show us your software queen your crown for software queen. Come on. You see, that's what happens when you become a geek with ScoreCEO. You get a little software queen. That was actually given to her by all of her team members.
Yeah, we actually had a party, a team party to celebrate getting rid of our old software that we've been in for 12 years that we hate and it's horrible and server based, called Money Machine. Has anybody
Hey,
heard
don't
of
say
it?
the name. Don't say the name. Don't say the
Hey,
name.
I don't mind. Look, it's a great software, but scores a little bit better, just a little bit. But yeah, we had a party and we took a bat to some computers because that was fun, and I was crowned the software queen, so I wear it proudly. I swear I didn't buy this for myself.
Well, anyway, have a great day to all, and we hope to see you all on the next webinar. Take advantage of these webinars because they're very useful and they will help you supercharge your business so that you can also be compliant and successful. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.